Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Hello and welcome to March 2 of the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. Today, Season 2, Episode 16. We're getting that bread ready for the Gravy Bowl. That's what we're doing this week, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right. I did it.
Comes at a perfect time, too, right before Thanksgiving.
You darn right, man. The week before, we got the Gravy Bowl. We got Thanksgiving coming. We got a producer trying to figure things out on the fly. It's a regular Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. Did you know that?
I did. That's when we record.
Interesting. Well, we're going to recap the Cats' overtime victory against Kennesaw State, touch on some men's basketball, some baseball, softball, and volleyball news, and preview that Gravy Bowl against Jacksonville State this week. I'm your host and producer, Corey Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. It's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports, whether it be Twitter. This list gets longer all the time. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky. What is it?
I was going to say we get on the Blue Sky.
Yeah, I'm on there. Threads. Don't forget that one. Like, man, it keeps growing. Yeah. All because somebody with too much money bought a website and decided to run it. Anyway, the knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of sports of SHSU, all one word again, on Twitter and Instagram. He's the chief operating officer of the Cat Fund, proud Bearcat alum. You've heard from him already. Ben Sorrells, how you doing, sir?
Doing good. Ready to talk about the Cats.
Well, you just got me revved up and all kinds of excited. And let's take that excitement and take it in to tell you a little bit about our sponsor, Eternal Reading. Jesus Christ. This is so good live. Eternal Roofing right here. Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. Huge thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing for putting up with this mess. And to every one of you watching this mess, thank you watching us implode. Well, at least me, implode live in person. You know, last week, speaking of imploding, the Cats almost imploded live in person. When they went to Kennesaw State. You know, once the coach started dabbing up players, the fired coach showed up to dab players on the way. I really wish I hadn't have taken the peer pressure and changed my pick.
I know. I mean, mine I don't think would have changed. That was the pick I had was the pick I had all week. But I know you changed yours last minute. And, seeing Coach Bohannon there, the spirit walk, dapping up every player, I think you kind of knew what kind of effort they were going to come out with there on Saturday.
See, I had that thinking it, but then when they started entering the portal, That's what got me like, okay, we'll see what they have. But they came out ready, and they got on the board first with a 25-yard field goal, and it took to the second quarter to get any points. And that field goal came after a 13-play, 83-yard drive that took 10 minutes, 27 seconds. And Mr. Sorrells, I believe the biggest win of the day for the defense came by holding that drive to a field goal.
You're talking about for the Kennesaw defense? Oh no, for our defense.
For Sam's defense, yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about
10.5-minute drive. They kept them out of the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, the defense has had a lot of bend don't break this year, and that was just another example of it. Saw a lot of it against Louisiana Tech, and then showed up there again against Kennesaw.
Yeah, that's another team, La Tech, that is dangerous. And we're going to talk about this conference just a little bit after we get done with this recap of Kennesaw State. Christian Pavon got the Cats on the board, sent them into a tie at halftime at 3 with a 29-yard field goal. Just around 2 minutes left to go in the first half. That was it. It was 3-3 at halftime. It was ugly. It was exactly what Kennesaw wanted to see. Some halftime adjustments made. The Cats come out in the second half. Hunter Watson gives them a lead with a 25-yard touchdown run.
They've got things that going their way.
From the 25 on a third down, Watson slips out of a sack. Watson's got a first down. Watson inside the 5, and he scores for the Bearcats. Hunter Watson on third down feels the pressure.
Yeah, and I was looking at this earlier today, Ben, and as I'm watching this play develop, there's a couple of things I see, and one of these is as soon as he drops back, like right there, as if you're watching live, you can see where the video's paused. If not, I will describe it to you. The ball snapped on the 25-yard line. Hunter is back with his drop at the 31, and at that point, as soon as his back foot hits the ground, the center and one of the other interior linemen, I believe right guard, take off downfield. Now, this is a passing route. This is obviously a little bit of an RPO. I don't know if he said something here to make them go, but if he would have he looked at his two reads to the left, right? Both of those there are covered. You got 3 Kennesaw guys on that short side of the field. But if he looks back here on the far side of the field, he's got Michael Phoenix about to run wide open. As you see the defensive backs get confused, doesn't really matter. But the reason I point that out is when he takes off, if he was to see him at this point and throw that ball, he's standing at the 27. If he's to see Michael Phoenix, I mean, he's wide open at this point. If he's to throw him that ball, you've got 2 guys downfield and eligibly. And thankfully, he didn't. He just said, I'll just, all right, you guys run downfield. I'll just follow you and go into the end zone.
Yeah, and it was good to see Hunter finally take off and just kind of look like his old self. Keeler talked about it quite a bit during the press conference that the first half, Hunter Watson was just very timid. I think he was still trying to get his legs underneath him. And in the second half, he looked a lot better, and he did have the willingness to get out of the pocket, scramble a little bit, make plays on his own, which was good to see. It finally looked like the Hunter Watson we saw the first 5 or 6 games of the year. So that was a really good sign for Sam Houston. And then the other thing I'll hit on, but we talked about this a little bit a minute ago, the field goal at the end of the half. I thought that might have been Christian Pavon's best game kicking. Every kickoff was in bounds right at the end zone, right around where you want it. Every extra point was good. He made his field goal, even though it was only 29, 30 yards. So that was a big problem for Sam Houston the past month. He couldn't keep the kickoffs in bounds, couldn't make field goals. And so it's a little thing, but want to talk about that as well and hit on it for a second.
No, it does matter because that sets field position, and that is huge when it comes to that. And look, when Kennesaw is going to try a 25-yard field goal after a 13-play drive that takes 10.5 minutes, that's a big win as well. So at this point, the Cats are leading 10-3. The Owls respond. They tie it up with about 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Here in the fourth quarter, Watson throws this pass to Simeon Evans. And while I just laid out a nice critique of Hunter Watson, this critique is going to be extremely nice after the throw he made on this play.
Especially when you don't have that momentum and you've already shot yourself in the foot with a couple penalties.
They beat the play clock. Watson unloads down the middle. Oh, and what a snag! Flag is down. Simeon Evans extends for the first down.
He didn't just extend for the first down. He popped up like nothing happened to that poor man right there.
That's called taking a lick and getting right back up.
Yeah, that sure was. And as we look at it, first off, you start to play there at the 37. You got two safeties high. The box is prepared to run or pass this one. This is a pass play, and the middle of the field kind of opens up. But where Hunter drops this in, there's a linebacker and both safeties are within 3 yards of the receiver. He has very little room to place this ball, and he put it right on the button. And you know what? That was I call that a good. I think that was it was a good penalty, but I don't think that was a illegal hit as well either, right? Like that wasn't a targeting type of play.
And I think they upheld the targeting too, which I was a little surprised by, even looking at the replay. But yeah, I mean, Hunter Watson, everybody knows about his legs and what he's done with his legs this year, but second half, he really showed he can sling the ball. He had the one bad pass that got tipped and intercepted in a really bad spot on the field. But besides that, I mean, through the air, he was almost perfect against Kennesaw, which is good to see that he's able to do that also, because teams key in on the run. He can start to open it up a little bit. If they're moving it through the air, they can get it back going back on the ground. So I thought he looked really good with his arm on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, this offense has got a lot of issues right now, and the issues have been building, and hopefully they can get them solved because they're going to need it this weekend. Kennesaw State tied that game up, sent it to overtime, gave some free football. That's exactly what Kennesaw State fans wanted. 9-yard touchdown pass with 25 seconds left in regulation. The Owls got the ball first in overtime. Got 3rd down and 3. They got nothing. Like the defense just stood tall, held them strong. 36-yard field goal attempt goes wide left. And then in overtime, Hunter Watson said, okay, you've seen my legs, you've seen my arm. How about you see me take us home?
2nd and goal. 2 times the formation, shift to the left. Watson, quarterback sweep to the left side. Watson with a block inside the 5, goes for the pylon, and Sam Houston wins it in overtime. Hunter Watson.
And at that point, Hunter's like, guys, can you let me sit here for a second? Because that was a hit, man.
Yeah.
This guy took a shot.
One thing about Hunter Watson is he is going to run hard, very hard. And if you keep this replay up, I want to get your opinion on this. Watch Jay Ducker. Do you think that's a holding on him? It'll probably loop here in a second, but watch Ducker. I was very concerned in real time that this was coming back for a holding.
No, I tell you why I don't think so. Because, okay, so if you look at this play, first off, they motion strong to the left. So now you've got a wide receiver tight. You've got a couple of tight ends over to the left. And you're also going to pull your left tackle out there. And he actually throws the block that the guy that Hunter Watson had to shoulder to get into the end zone. It's a very well-designed play. But right here, when they get to about the 7-8 yard line, Ducker sees a guy coming in. Looks like he has an angle. I could see where Ducker thinks he has a good angle. In reality, he does not. And that actually plays, I think, in Sam Houston's favor. Because right here, you see him reach his arm out to kind of look like he's going to grab him. But I don't think he actually got a hold of him is the thing right there.
Yeah, I don't think he did either. I was just very worried in real time that was coming back for a holding. But I'm glad it wasn't. And Hunter Watson, the rest is history. My question for you, Corey, is if you're Kennesaw, there are 25 seconds left, you score the touchdown. Are you going for 2?
Oh, I am.
Oh, yeah. I was almost convinced they were going for 2.
Dude, they didn't play to win the game, right? They showed that when – listen. and this is the reason why I said this to begin with, a 25-yard field goal is a win for the Cats defense, because when a team is kicking field goals from 25 yards and shorter, and it's not like a game-winning or end-of-half situation, they don't want to win. They're playing to lose. You don't just settle for 3 when you're that close, because that ball's being snapped too close to the goal line, that unless you have 7-8 yards on a 4th down, you need to be going for that stuff. You got to – touchdowns win football games, man. Field goals, unless you're the Steelers playing the Ravens, don't really do you much.
Yeah, I was convinced they were going for 2, especially because that one drive in the first half where they got the field goal and then that one touchdown drive at the very end was the only time they really moved the ball on us. But that last drive, they just kind of marched down the field on us, which was a little shocking. And with that momentum, I'm surprised they didn't go for 2, because if they get that, we've got, I think, 25 seconds and 1 timeout left to get down the field and try to get a field goal, which would have been really tough. So I'm pretty surprised they didn't. I think we're lucky they didn't too.
I think the AD decided after that game that it's best to look nationally for a new head coach. I think the AD realized that it's not on staff right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got nothing to lose. Nothing.
Well, and speaking of the staff too, the acting head coach was in the booth. He's the offensive coordinator. I was like, that makes no sense. If you want to try to audition for the job, get on the field and be the game manager, manage the game.
He didn't want the job. That's just what that tells you.
It's just weird. I just thought it was very weird that if you're the acting head coach, you're not on the sideline. So they had another coach.
Unless you're Hugh Freeze, right? And you've had surgery and you sit up in the booth with your cocktail and call a game.
Yeah. But there was one of their other coaches that wasn't the acting head coach was the one calling the timeouts and talking to the officials, which I just thought was interesting. I get that you're the offensive coordinator and you're used to calling plays from the booth, but I mean, head coach needs to be on the field.
And don't you kind of at that point, give play calling over to someone else? Yeah.
Give it to your tight ends coach, O-line coach, whatever, passing game coordinator, whatever it is.
Oh, well, your loss, our win.
Yep.
23-17, overtime victory. Wasn't pretty. Doesn't matter. Style points do not matter. Here's what Casey Keeler had to say after the game.
And, we played phenomenal defense, and we just hung in there, and we found a way to, get the win. Can't say enough about how we're playing defensively. And, offensively, we saw spurts, and we need more consistency. But it's there. It is there. Just a matter of us getting, a full game out of it. So, overtime win on the road. These guys beat, a pretty good Liberty team. And they're a team that, they're in all those 50-50 games like we were a year ago. And unfortunately, they've not been able to win those. Well, we've learned to win those this year. So, again, go on the road in this conference, I'm telling you, you can walk away with a win. You feel pretty good.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, at this point last year, they're 2-8. Sky's falling. We need a new coach. I can kind of understand some of that, even though it was a little bit quick. Now you're 8-2, and you won on the road 23-17. It does not matter if it's pretty. You are not trying to convince any team of individuals to put you into some playoff system. And it's not easy to win these conference games every single week. And there's a lot of things that play into this. But man, this conference right now, I think the longer this season plays out, Ben, it's becoming a little more up for grabs every single game, no matter who the opponent is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 4-team race kind of to the conference title, but there's some other teams that you can't sleep on. I mean, Kennesaw beat Liberty. We saw Louisiana Tech. They should have beat Jacksonville State, lost on the Hail Mary, and then they go out and beat Western Kentucky. There's really no nights off in this league, even though some of the teams aren't great, especially playing on the road. I mean, you got to come to play and don't get any points for style points, but I mean, however you can get a win, it doesn't really matter. And Keeler talked about it yesterday in his press conference. Is like, we're not playing for style points. We're 8-2. There's only 30% of teams in all of college football that will have 8 wins by the end of the year, and they're already at 8 wins with 2 games to go, maybe a conference title game and a bowl game. So Yeah, love where the team's at. It's not pretty, and it hasn't been pretty for a while, but if you keep winning games, that's all I really care about.
Jason Barfield posted that quote, called it feisty Keeler. And he's right. Like, I mean, you've won 8 games. Stop complaining. Let's enjoy this for a little bit. Yes, you still want a conference championship. I get that, right? Like that. They're not saying we don't want these things. We're not trying for these things. They're saying, hey, let's enjoy it along the way. We're having fun this year. We're winning.
Yeah, they don't ask how. They just ask how many. That's all that matters.
Yeah. No one cares. No one cares if it's pretty, if it's 40 points. It doesn't matter, man. All you got to do is win, no matter what. And
with the pretty side of it, I know a lot of people are going to reference the offense, and I think for the first time in a while, we finally saw them get their legs under them a little bit in the second half. If you look at the second half in overtime, the one possession in overtime, they put up 20 points and 250 yards. So they started to really move the ball. Even if you take out that overtime possession, that's still 225 yards in the second half, 450 if you look at that over the course of a whole game. So I think they're starting to get their legs back under them a little bit, and we'll see how they look this Saturday against Jacksonville State.
Listen, in Conference USA, the offense is averaging 21.3 points per game. That is not impressive.
No.
They have averaged 14 in their last 4 games. The 23 they put up against Jack State or against Kennesaw State was the most they put up since they put 41 up on UTEP.
Yeah.
They have struggled. It has been a defense carrying team. The defense and special teams have carried this team to these victories. The offense is just doing just enough. That concerns me this week. We'll get into that here in a couple segments, but that concerns me this week.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a rebuttal to that, just of who Jack State is, but we'll get into it. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just going to provide a counterpoint to it, but we'll get into it more later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I've got a few numbers here. Jacksonville State's defense may not be as good, but they haven't played bad. I mean, they're winning.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing enough to win. That's all that matters.
When the offense puts up 63 points in a game.
Yeah. Defense doesn't have to do too much.
They do not have to do too much. We are a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on the various social media channels, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at March to the Pod. That's all one word. March, the number 2, the pod. You can find us on Threads at the March to the Pod with the number 2. We are not on Blue Sky yet. I will try to avoid that if it possible. There's only so much I can keep up with, man.
Yeah.
There's only
enough already.
Speaking of only so much I can keep up with, let's hear some more about our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. Once again, we greatly appreciate our friends over at Eternal Roofing as our presenting sponsor and always putting up with this mess, including, you talk about messy. There's nothing messier than a miscellaneous segment, Ben. We take a hodgepodge of stuff and we just throw it together and call it a leg.
Yeah, throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
We call it a leg too. We don't call it a segment. We call it a leg.
Yeah. Shout out to Tripod.
Telling you, it's crazy, dude. Speaking of that, not tripod, but speaking of miscellaneous, the baseball field has a new name for the press box. I believe Sports of SHSU. Do you know that guy?
A little bit.
You met him once or twice. Okay. They put out that the press box has been renamed to Leroy Wilkinson Press Box in honor of the Bearcats' late great radio color commentator. And they also pledged $200,000 with a dollar sign on the wrong end over the next 5 years in honor of Leroy. You put that out this morning, man. That's huge news, even if the dollar sign's in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it's not about me, but yeah, it's yeah, it is really cool. I actually got wind. I got wind of there being a naming rights to the press box probably 2 or 3 months ago, but I didn't know who it was or what the dollar amount would be. But I think this is a really fitting name for it. He was the color commentator for baseball and basketball, I believe it was, for almost 30 years, and just a really great guy. He died in, I think it was 2019, and I actually met him at a baseball game. I'm pretty sure it was February of 19. Just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Funny story about that night. There was a baseball game and a basketball game going on. Started at the baseball game, went to the basketball game. We were playing Houston Christian that night. Went up by, 30-ish over Houston Christian. And we were like, let's go back to baseball. And then went so we're back at baseball, and then we look at our phones, and they're going to overtime for basketball. So we run back to basketball, and he was giving us a hard time because we had gone back and forth twice already, and our seats were right by him. But really great guy, really a monumental name in Bearcat history, and I think it's a well-deserved honor to have his name there on the press box.
That is awesome, and congratulate. And I'm also happy to see I ain't the only one that makes a mistake on this show. Just saying.
It rubs off.
I am such an influencer.
Yeah, that HCU basketball game was nuts. I just looked up the box score for it. It was a final score of 119 to 113. Went to double overtime. Houston Christian outscored us 63 to 44 in the second half. I think they were down 30 at one point. Just a wild game. One of the craziest I've ever been to.
Wow, that is definitely nuts. But that's not the only thing we have to talk about when it comes to baseball today, because there was a schedule release for the baseball program. They open up February the 14th, Valentine's Day, or as Larry the Cable Guy says, Valentine's Day. And on that February 14th, Mrs. Hogue has decided she would rather not be around me on Valentine's Day this year.
She'd rather be at the Sam Houston, Missouri State baseball game. That's what I heard.
No. She's going to be in the vagina monologues.
I don't know what that is. I don't know if I want to.
Actually, it's it's like a play. It's at the Backdoor Theater. And it's really funny. It is. It's funny. It's hilarious. There's parts of it that'll make you think like any good theater does. But anyway, while the baseball team and probably Mr. Hogue are watching Sam Houston play Missouri State, open it up a 3-game homestand right there. Then they go on the road to Rice. They play New Jersey Institute of Technology. After that, then they've got Houston on the road, and then they head to a place where we're going to be in attendance at the Frisco College Baseball Classic this year, Ben. We're going to be there for, I believe, the first night.
Well, hopefully you bring us a win, too.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're not invited back.
Sweet.
Less work.
Yeah. If they win, do I get free tickets?
There you go.
There it is.
Call it Jerry Sirianni.
Yeah. Couple things of note here, and then I'll turn it over to you for what you think is going to be the biggest parts of this. There is a kind of an extended road trip, 3 at Oklahoma, UT Arlington, and Baylor. That's going to be pretty tough. There's a bit of an extended homestand, Rice, New Mexico State, Kennesaw State, Texas A&M, and Lamar. Ben, I look at this schedule. I don't see a whole lot about it that's very easy.
And that's the way they always set up the schedule. That's just kind of the MO of the program. They're going to challenge themselves in the non-conference and see how they can do. Missouri State's going to be really good. It's going to be exciting to see them because they're a year away from Conference USA. You've got 2 games against Rice. You've got the Don Sanders Cup with Houston like you usually do. A fun series at Oklahoma that you'll be able to challenge yourself with. You get to host Texas A&M. And then it's interesting you bring in NJIT. Last year you brought in Dartmouth. So I wonder if we're just annually going to bring in an interesting kind of oddball Northeastern team each year. I know they're on the road a lot to start the year, but I wonder if we start to see that a little more.
A lot up there.
Exactly. So I wonder if that kind of becomes a trend where we just find a Northeast team and bring them down here. Maybe next year it'll be, I don't know, some other Ivy League school or just something random.
Look, for years, college baseball did not help those Northeastern teams and Northern teams that are cold until flipping April, for crying out loud, and snowy. And then the season you start in January. Then they extended it. They pushed it a couple of weeks, made the draft better, actually, because at that time, before all this, man, the draft was right in the middle of the College World Series.
Right.
It was one of the worst things to do to a baseball player during that week. And so they've made some, but still, the beginning of February and March, these teams do play a lot of road games. You can find those. You're going to be able to find one of those, I think, every single year because they want to be on the road. They do not like being home cold.
Oh, no. And I'm sure nobody wants to go travel to them in the cold either. And the other thing, too, when I look at the schedules, it looks like pretty much every series, if not every series, is flip-flopped home and road from last year. I know adding Kennesaw into the mix could have changed things up a little bit, but it looks like everything is just kind of the opposite of what it was last year from what I remember. So the teams that we saw at home last year will be on the road for, and the teams we were on the road for last year will get at home this year.
You've got Texas, Baylor, Houston, of course, with the Don Sanders Cup. You've got Rice a couple of times, Nebraska, Kansas State, LSU at the College Baseball Classic in Frisco. You've got A&M, you've got Oklahoma, and you've got Abilene Christian. That's a pretty good non-conference. And Missouri State, don't. Hey, look, you open with a team that could be a regional contender as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Conference USA is already a really good baseball league, and when we add them next year, it's only going to get tougher. So really good baseball league, a lot of fun to watch these Conference USA teams.
All right, well, now let's go to softball, and they have a schedule out as well. It's fewer games, which normally I always expect softball to play more games than baseball. They've got a Bearcat Classic after they open up at home on the February the 6th with New Mexico. The Bearcat Classic's right after that. They play Bryant, Tulsa, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Texas. Is the Longhorns coming into to Sam Houston this year?
Yeah, and it's actually going to be the second time in 3 years that they've come to Sam Houston for volleyball, or not for volleyball, but for softball, which is pretty cool.
Nice. You definitely want to go watch them. That team is going to be
number
really
one.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you got the Battle of the Piney Woods. Louisiana tournament, again, really good teams there. Louisiana, Texas State, there's Central Arkansas there, Ole Miss. UTSA's tournament, St. Thomas, maybe not. But, and then, hey, look, Baylor tournament, North Texas, Cal Baptist, Baylor. I love seeing the East Texas A&M already up there. I'm a real big fan of that.
It's taken a while to get used to it, but I like it.
And then there's also a game at Texas A&M as well. It did not take me any time, dude. I wanted East Texas A&M forever. Anyhow, this is also not an easy schedule for the softball team.
No, and I know they've been down for a couple of years. 2019, they made the regional, won a game at the Texas regional, and they actually beat Texas. And it's kind of been a rough 4 or 5 years since then, but I love the talent on this team. The pitching last year was led by 2 freshmen who are both back. You've also added a couple pitchers in the portal, added a Bella Perez, who was the catcher at McNeese State last year, one of the best mid-major teams in the country for softball. She was their starting catcher, returned probably about 5 or 6 other starters from the lineup. So I think the expectations for this year's team are going to be pretty high. I'm excited to see what they do. Oh, you're muted, Corey.
My bad. I have a little higher expectations as well. I was clicking around there. I mute myself while I click around, then I forget to unmute it before I talk. So this way you're not hearing in the background click, 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 click. It's a producer thing.
Yep. Award-winning producer thing.
No, I have not won any awards for producing.
Yet.
Let's just make that known. Men's basketball. You know, they went on the road to Lamar. I saw some Southland people saying, we'll find out about the conference and stuff in this one. I don't know if Southland found out what they wanted to find out about this, because Sam Houston walks out with an 85-72 win, and they only had 8 scholarship players, including quite a few good ones that were missing in that game.
Yeah, and 2 of those 8 were true freshmen. So Eric Taylor, who played power forward for you, I think played 25 minutes, and then Jackson Ford played 25 minutes at the 4 position. And Eric Taylor was your point guard in there for a little bit, true freshman playing point guard on the road 2 weeks into his college career. So, yeah, went in there with 8 scholarship guys, definitely a little beat up, but played very, very well. Lamar Wilkerson had a career day, had 28 points, and Khalifa Sacco had a career day too. He had 22 points. It was kind of his breakout game. And I think he's finally starting to get his feet under him, which is really exciting because the reason why, or one of the reasons why these Sam Houston teams have been so good the last few years is you've had a really good big man. And Sacco has struggled a little bit early on, but I think part of that is he just hasn't played a ton over the past year, 2 years. And we saw that too with Doumbia and Eziagu too, because they both transferred in from higher level schools just like Sacco did. So hopefully Sacco playing a little bit more, he can get his feet under him. I think he had 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks or something like that. Had a huge day. So was really encouraged by what I saw, and you'll slowly get healthier throughout the year. Cam Hoofner wasn't in a boot, which was really good to see. Just 8 days after his ankle injury. Sounds like Kean Scroggins should be back. I think it sounded like it may have been a personal thing or he just wasn't with the team for whatever reason it was. I don't think it's injury related. So you should get those 2 pieces back, which are huge. And once you get there, I think you've got 10 pieces you can really play with. So I'm really encouraged by this team, and they've got, Trinity tomorrow before they go to a really competitive MTE next week, the week of Thanksgiving. So I like what I've seen so far.
Yeah, they open home opener against Trinity tomorrow night. And, you know, look, you've got 8 scholarship players. You need somebody to step up. Lamar Wilkerson is your backbone. He is your playmaker, and he stepped up. That's exactly what you want to see. It's a good sign. Should we be concerned about injuries and other reasons that players are missing right now? Because this is not an easy schedule.
It's not. And I think you hit your injury bug kind of at the best point in the season that you possibly could. You've got this, you played Lamar Sunday, you play Trinity tomorrow, then I think you start the MTE next Wednesday. So you've got a 10-day gap where all you do is play Trinity. So I think if you can I'm pretty sure you'll get Kean Scroggins back. You get Cam Hoofner back. You feel pretty good about that 10-man rotation. I think Damon Nicholas might be a little farther down the line than those 2 guys. But if you can get to 10 players in your rotation, I think you feel pretty good about where you are, because most teams only go 9 or 10 deep anyway.
Are you traveling for Thanksgiving?
No.
Are we doing a show next Wednesday?
Planning on it.
Sweet. Hey, we'll be here next Wednesday
Well,
to
I think
preview the tournament.
I think they play it. Yeah, I was going to say, I think they play at 3:00.
We'll be here live while they're playing in the tournament. That's what we'll do. That's the production meeting right there. Is we've now set next week's schedule for us. So there you go. Everyone live, you now know we're coming back next week.
We're going to try to watch. It's on Flow Sports, so don't hold out too much hope.
I don't know I have some access to some of that but I don't know if it's only for the non-FBS schools.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a free trial or a 1-month pass or something like that.
You might end up getting more than that eventually. Flow Sports is really taking over the landscape and a lot of this streaming and stuff. So they're adding themselves into the mix.
I hope not.
Oh, they are.
Please,
them and Huddle, man, they're coming. Flow Sports and Huddle, they're coming, man. I'm telling you.
Huddle. I haven't seen any games on Huddle yet.
Huddle has like access to all of the D2, D3 playoff games, like basketball tournament games and stuff. Yeah, it's been crazy. Speaking of crazy, the volleyball season is coming up on the conference tournament championship, and Hannah Baker was named Libero of the Year and second team All-Conference USA. They head to that tournament this weekend. It's hosted by UTEP. All games are on ESPN+. The Cats, you see it right there if you're watching on the bracket. They are the 6th seed. They meet the 3 seed New Mexico State, 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time Friday. I went ahead and did the math for you off the times that you see on your screen. They are 1-1 against the Aggies this year. And if they win, they play in the semifinals Saturday afternoon, 3:30 Central Daylight Time against the winner of Liberty and UTEP. Well, likely UTEP. Let's just face it.
Yeah, and they're at UTEP too, I'm pretty sure.
They are, yeah. I mean, UTEP's hosting. It's a UTEP thing. If the Bearcats make it, the finals are 1 p.m. Sunday. What's your outlook on this and how they landed here in the bracket?
Yeah, how they got here, a little bit of a disappointing end to the season. I think we both knew they were going to lose both games to Western Kentucky, and they did. But to lose both games to FIU on the road, FIU, who's the 8th seed and wouldn't have even made the tournament if they didn't win those final 2 games, was a little disappointing. So hopefully they can bounce back. I think an encouraging performance here would be to win that first round game. You split the regular season series with them, and it's going to be a tough task if you do win, getting past UTEP. So if they can win a game, I think that'd be really good. I think they've exceeded expectations this year. Well, the expectations we had coming into the year, they were picked last. So them ending up in the 6th seed is a positive encouragement. I think if they can win this game, be a little bit more momentum going into the offseason. So would like to see us win one. I don't think we'll win more than one, but if we can get that first round game, I'll be pretty happy.
I mean, that's almost a home game for New Mexico State. They don't have to travel that far. But, I want to say them making this tournament, them making the 6th seed, that is far above expectations this year. And I think they've had a pretty solid season regardless of how this weekend goes.
Yeah. And another thing, too, that with the Hannah Baker, how are you Libero of the Year and not on the first team All-Conference?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that, too. Like, did they have a different libero that wasn't Libero of the Year but was first team All-Conference?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, how does that happen? I was playing college football 25, and Caleb Weaver, who might be Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, he won National Defensive Player of the Year on my dynasty, and he was second team All-Conference USA. I'm like, well, how does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that happens, but I did wonder that myself. But you know what? What I don't wonder is how to find out all of this inside information ahead of time. You find all of that out, Ben, by joining and becoming a member of Cat Fund, and that gets you exclusive access to the channel, I'm guessing we'll call it, on catfans.com. That gets you all of this inside information. Ben, tell them how they can become a member of that.
Yeah, cat-fund.com. Producer put it up right there on the screen. Little as $10 a month. Everybody gets access to the exclusive content. Had a little bit of a basketball update there today. We actually had a pretty cool little salary pay within the Sam Houston Athletic Department breakdown that I did. I think it was yesterday morning. So had that put out. So definitely some good content in there. And you also get to support the athletes, which is what it's all about. So cat-fund.com can sign up and become a member. I know some people might still be waiting on hats from the Took Back Texas hats. We've got 75-ish% of those out. The last round of orders should be in within about a week and a half. So if you ordered a hat through us, about a week and a half into next week kind of thing, you should have your hat, and then everybody should have their order fulfilled. So a lot of exciting stuff going on right now.
And again, that is cat-fund.com, and as low as $10 a month. And before we head into this final leg of our show, we want to give our friends over at Eternal Roofing another chance to tell us about all the things they do, including Christmas lights. Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. A huge thank you once again to Eternal Roofing, and I almost sound professional on that, Ben.
Yeah, you're getting it down.
Oof, no, don't know.
You're gonna end up on
almost.
You're gonna end up on like an infomercial at some point.
Sure, there we go. If you hear my voice on your TV on a Saturday morning, change the channel. That's what you
Don't buy the product.
That's right. Do not spend your money and get out of there. Saturday, November the 23rd. That's this week, by the way. We're already at November 23rd coming up. 11 a.m. The Cats are headed to Jacksonville State. They're going to meet the Gamecocks, I believe they are, inside Burgess Snowfield. They have that, they have cool helmets now, too. Everybody's kind of getting into that.
The AKC, you know what the AKC stands for?
No.
The ass kicking chicken. That's what it is. They have like AKC on their jerseys.
I love that. Ass kicking chicken. That is good. That's good. That game is being broadcast on CBS Sports Network. And let's see. Let's hear from Casey Keeler on what he expects from the ass-kicking chickens.
You put a very solid tight end and some talented wide receivers, and then a tempo that we were trying to mimic their tempo today. And Skylar had the defensive guys facing him, and he was in the defensive backfield. And then he'd call the defense, and they had to snap around, and all of a sudden the ball was snapped like 2 seconds later. Some things that we're trying to do to simulate how fast they play, because there needs to be a sense of urgency on our part. And what happens is, like, you think you're trying to stop the things they do, and then all of a sudden your eyes go the wrong place, and they get an easy one. But that is an impressive duo. And if you look how they played early in the season, they changed quarterbacks. They're kind of playing that quarterback part-time. The other thing that happened was they brought in a consultant on the defensive side of the ball to help with the 3-3 because they were struggling defensively. And since that's happened, they've really cleaned up a lot of their issues on defense. So this is a totally different team than what was in the beginning of the season. And there's a reason why they're undefeated in conference play right now. So, yeah, we know it's going to be a test. It's a tough place to play, too. 11 o'clock game. The good thing is we're a morning team, so being up at 7 o'clock doesn't affect us at all. But that quarterback tailback duo, boy, it's pretty impressive, and it's physical. I mean, they'll run right over you. So again, we have to play clean, and I like their offensive line too. We didn't even mention their offensive line. Their offensive line is big and physical, so it's a pretty well put together football team.
Yeah, no, it is, and I like the fact that they brought in a consultant for the 3-3-5, Ben, and it helped. I mean, you know what? For Rich Rod to be able to put his ego to the side and do things like that says a lot about him.
Yeah, I don't think the defense is elite, but they're definitely better than what they showed at the beginning of the year when they were giving up almost 60 to Coastal Carolina. They're not that defense. They're not elite, but they are not that kind of defense that's given up 60 to Coastal.
No, they're not. And they're not elite. But I will tell you, in their last 4 games, in Conference USA, they've been allowing 27 points per game. It's actually been lower than that over their last 4, down around 24. So, I mean, they're getting better. They have shown improvement. Yeah,
I think so. I do think they are susceptible, though. They gave up 31 to FIU. That FIU team only put up, 3 on us? And then Louisiana Tech scored 37 on them, I think it was. And Louisiana Tech only scored, 3 on us also kind of thing. So I think their defense, this is a defense that's not as good as Louisiana Tech, where we really struggled. I don't think it's as good as Western Kentucky, who we struggled against a little bit. I think it might be on par to a Kennesaw defense, maybe a little better than Kennesaw, but I think there's an opportunity there to where we can maybe score some more points against this defense.
You better hope, because that offense.
No, yeah, I'm not saying we are for sure, but I think there's somewhat of a reason for optimism.
You had better hope, because we take a look first here at that defense and what it looks like when Sam Houston is on offense. You feel good about this, but look, they have a couple of good pass rush ends. They do rush the passer okay at times. They also do pretty good against the run here this year. I think Sam Houston will have some success. I don't think that it will be a ton of success on offense this week.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be like when we played UTEP and scored 41 or whatever it was. But if we can go out and put up 23, 27, somewhere in there, I think we're going to have a shot. And looking at their defense here, I think the one name you have to know is J-Rock Swain. He's the end there, lined up over the left tackle. Just by far their best player, 35 tackles this year, 8.5 tackles for loss, preseason all-conference player. So if there's a name to know on their defense, it's definitely J-Rock Swain. And if your name is J-Rock, you're probably pretty good, and I think he lives up to it.
Yeah. Does he smell?
I don't know.
Does he smell anything cooking, Mr. J-Rock?
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Let's get out of that, Corey. Jeez, man. Moving on. When the Cats are on defense, they're facing an offense here that you hear Keeler talk about it, man. They've got a running back and a quarterback running back duo that are really good. And then you can't look past their tight end and their wide receivers either.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback running back duo has just completely changed their season, putting Tyler Huff in there as a starting QB. I'm pretty sure he was a former Army guy. So he had been in the Army in the past, and then he joined.
Solid dude.
Yeah, joined Jacksonville State. Man, he is a threat with his legs. And I think the key to stopping this offense, and Keeler talked about it in his presser, is winning first down. If you can get him in a 2nd and 8, get him in some passing situations, I think there's a real shot you can slow down the offense. But if they're picking up 6-7 yards on first down, it's going to be really tough. And I know you said not to look past the tight end, Sean Brown. He's an NFL caliber type of guy, can do a little bit of everything. Super impressive. So, I mean, this is a legit offense, but I mean, our defense is legit too. The same teams that put up 30 on Jacksonville State's defense, we only gave up 3 against. So it's really the number 1 defense versus the number 1 offense, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, and look, if you can make an offense predictable, that's what every defensive coordinator wants to do. And the key is, how do you make them predictable on 2nd and 3rd downs? And that will be the chess match that Skylar Cassidy will be involved with on Saturday. And when you take a look at the lines and what Vegas is saying on PFF.com, Jacksonville State is a 6-point favorite, and over-under at 55.5. So, as we get into this, I'm going to remind you that what you're about to hear, take with a very light grain of salt. Ben, a little more salt with him. He's 5-5 this year against the spread. He's 5-5 over under. He's right there close to making some money. But do not listen to a word I say. 2-8 against the spread, 3-7 on the over under. Whatever you hear come out of me for the prediction this week, just be happy or sad if it goes your way, because it's going to be wrong. I promise you that.
You just do the opposite of Corey.
Do the opposite. The opposite of what I have to say. What Vegas says is that Jacksonville State wins 31-25, essentially.
Right.
55.5 being the over. Ben, what say you?
Love the under here, with the way our offense has been playing, but especially with the way our defense has been playing. That's the big thing. I'm going to go Sam Houston 23-20. I'm going to give Sam Houston a 3-point win. That's a 43-point total, so that's pretty heavily to the under. I think the Jacksonville State offense isn't going to be as good as they have against these other teams. And I think that leads into the under, and I think we're going to look a little better than we have the past few weeks. And I think we're going to be ready to play. I don't know. I just kind of have a feeling that we're going to find a way to win this one because Jacksonville State has kind of escaped 2 losses that they probably should have had. Louisiana Tech, they definitely should have lost. They didn't. Had the Hail Mary, and then last week they got a very generous non-pass interference call on the very last drive of the game. So they've been flirting with losing a game. I think we're the ones that finally do it to them.
You're going to love what I have to say.
We'll see.
Because I am completely opposite of what you're thinking. Look, man, when you're averaging 14 points in your last 4 games, that's a problem. That's a problem. And the defense can only carry you against so many teams. This is a really good offense. They're going to score some points. Yes, the defense isn't as good, but I don't know that the Cats offense can put up those points. I'm going Jacksonville State 31-21. I've got the ass-kicking chickens covering, and I'm going under. So you don't feel good about your under, but feel good about your pick.
Yeah, and I'm feeling great now because whatever you've been picking hasn't been working, so I feel really good.
Yeah, 2-8 versus the spread. I've got Jacksonville covering and winning by 10. So, Cat fans, it's going to be a good weekend for you.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah, you better hope so.
Yeah. And if they win, I mean, we still control our own destiny. And if you win both of these games, I mean, one at a time, obviously. But you win against Jacksonville State, you win against Liberty, there's a very real chance that you are hosting the conference title game because Western Kentucky has 1 loss. They've got to play Liberty and Jacksonville State to end the season. There's a very real chance they lose one of those. And if you win this, you've got the tiebreaker over Jack State. And if you win the second one, you're obviously ahead of Liberty. So you win both of these games, there's a very real chance you're hosting the conference title game. But obviously, one at a time, we'll see how it plays out.
If they were to host, you think they fill the stadium?
I'd hope so. It's a Friday night. It is a Friday game, so that makes it a little interesting. And
yeah, but Friday night's a good night to go to watch a football game, though.
Yeah, and I think the students are still on campus. I think the date is December 6th.
And the other thing is playoff. You always worry about high school football. So few teams are left back then. It's not going to have as big of an effect. I don't.
Yeah, it'll be like the 4th round at that point.
So, man, I have
3 weeks from now.
Do not get me. Don't even try. I am on this week right here. I took this morning. I actually realized that Thanksgiving's coming up next week.
You got to go get a turkey.
No, I have nothing to do with any of that. I do very little Christmas shopping. Before we get off of here, Ben, I want to give a little shout out to some of my non-FBS teams and really all of them, right? Like, let's talk about what's happening around the state of Texas with the 48 college teams. Sam Houston, I've got a list here. Sam Houston, Texas, Texas State, SMU, Baylor, TCU, Tech, Texas A&M. 8 teams in FBS are already bowl qualified. They're already in the postseason. In the non-FBS level, you've got 2 guaranteed at FCS. First time since I've been doing it, you've got 2 guaranteed in heading to the show. Tarleton could get in with a win. That could be 3 teams in the playoffs in FCS. You've got 2 in the postseason Division II. Angelo State's in the playoffs. UT Permian Basin's in a bowl game. You have 4 Division III teams in the playoff. 4. You got Texas Wesleyan in the NAIA playoffs, and they have the nation's best offense across the country of any level. They have put up the most points of anyone else, and that's not even including the JUCO, who's going to have at least 2 or 3 teams in bowl games this year. Nearly half the teams in Texas are playing in the postseason. That is incredible.
Yeah, so I don't want to hear it from any Florida or California people that they've got the best football. It's here in Texas.
No, God, no. And I don't want to hear any of them talk about how much sleep they're getting either. I'm enjoying not sleeping, man. It's the greatest time of year.
Yeah, if it's about
It really
football.
is. Somebody said Merry Christmas to me today, and I looked at them like they had something growing out of their head. I didn't even know that's coming up.
You're like, has Halloween happened?
What are we dressing? What are we dressing up as? What are we doing? Ringing a bell outside the store? What's happening around here?
Has the 4th of July happened?
See, I know that one because the 4th of July starts football. For me.
Yeah.
That's
right.
what I use to ring it in.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, Ben, it is it's a lot of fun as always. Thank you to you for coming on here and bringing your knowledge. Thank you to everyone watching and listening. We appreciate you greatly. We got one more episode. We'll be back before Thanksgiving, so we'll come back, and who knows, maybe next week we need a segment on some of our favorite Thanksgiving dishes, and people can find out exactly how peculiar I can be.
Yeah. We'll see if gravy makes it in there. It'll be a part of this weekend's festivities.
Dude, we could the Thanksgiving. We're gonna have to have a Thanksgiving
Draft.
just to talk. Just talk about the food, man.
Yeah.
Just talk about the food and why turkey should not be our Thanksgiving meal.
He's a ham guy.
No, lasagna. Make something good. Jesus. Turkey. Too many people make it dry, man. It's hard to make a good moist turkey.
I don't know. It's the one time a year I typically eat it, so I'll take it.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a big turkey fan either. That's the other thing. Anyhow, boy, we went off the rails. Next week, just wait. Wait till we get that turkey leg in there. Literally, a leg about turkey. Ben, save us, my man. Take us out with something that's going to get the Cats a win outside of my predictions. That's going to bring the Cats home with a win this weekend against Jacksonville State.
Yeah, eat 'em up, Cats, and let's give an ass whooping to the ass kicking chickens.
Ass whoop the ass kicking chickens.